Presented by Listen Headlines. Latest financial news from trusted sources.
BBC News Business. March 2, 4:42 America, New York. Oil surge sparks fears over higher petrol prices. Oil prices continue to march upward as Western nations clamp down on major producer Russia.
Daily FX Market News.
March 2, 4 o'clock America, New York. Crude oil jumps 7% as OPEC Plus talks continue. Crisis in Ukraine intensifies. The price of oil continues to soar as the Ukraine crisis intensifies, with yesterday's release of 60 million barrels of strategic oil reserves having no impact on the market.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business.
March 2, 3:55 America, New York. Apple, Exxon, Ford, others retreat from Russia. VW warns of disruption. Apple, Exxon, Ford Motor and computer maker Dell join the ranks of companies having to adjust or reassess their business activities because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Wall Street Journal Markets.
March 2, 3:45 America, New York. Stock futures edge up. Crude prices extend gains. U.S. stock futures ticked higher as the crisis in Ukraine continued to unfold, with crude prices extending their climb.
Global economy. March 2, 3:30 America, New York. FirstFT. Russia steps up its bombardment of Ukraine cities. Plus, Moscow's invasion boosts Macron's re-election chances and Palantir to come to the aid of NHS backlog.
Marginal Revolution. March 2, 1:50 America, New York. An index for state capacity. This paper contributes to the literature on state capacity by developing a method that yields an index of state capacity with far more comprehensive data coverage across time and countries than has been possible previously.
Global economy. March 2, 1:30 America, New York. European bonds in wartime. And dispatches from the credit front line. Daily FX Market News.
March 2, 1 o'clock America, New York. Euro vulnerable as commodity crisis sees U.S. dollar buying. Will USD press lower? The euro remains under pressure as the Russian invasion of Ukraine has commodity markets in a vortex.
Armstrong Economics.
March 2, 0:08 America, New York. War and inflation to impact U.S. midterm elections. Mounting fears of war have caused many to re-evaluate who is leading them. Putin addresses his people sternly and clearly, while Biden can barely hold a press conference or read off the teleprompter.
Armstrong Economics.
March 2, 0:06 America, New York. Zelensky comedy skit surfaces. Ukrainian President Zelensky, a former comedian, created the following video in 2015. In the sketch, former Prime Minister Angela Merkel calls to invite Ukraine to join the European Union, only to find out that she meant to call Montenegro.
Wall Street Journal Markets.
March 1, 23:24 America, New York. Oil tops $110 as Russia struggles to maintain energy sales. Benchmark global oil prices surged above $110 a barrel, hitting a multi-year high, as concern mounted that Russia's growing economic isolation since its invasion of Ukraine would disrupt global energy supplies.
BBC News Business.
March 1, 22:18 America, New York. Ukraine conflict. ExxonMobil and Boeing take action over Russia ties. The companies join the growing list of global corporations to cut business links with Russia.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. March 1, 21:15 America, New York. Kremlin-backed media face growing global crackdown. DirecTV said Tuesday it will drop RT, as rival Dish weighs options. Europe unveiled wide-ranging sanctions on Russian outlets.
New York Times Business.
March 1, 1918 America, New York. ExxonMobil says it plans to leave its last remaining Russian project. BP and Shell announced earlier that they were also seeking to leave the country after its invasion of Ukraine. ExxonMobil operates 3 oil and natural gas fields in eastern Russia in partnership with Rosneft, the state-controlled energy company.
New York Times Business.
March 1, 1918 America, New York. ExxonMobil says it plans to leave its last remaining Russian project. BP and Shell announced earlier that they were also seeking to leave the country after its invasion of Ukraine. ExxonMobil operates 3 oil and natural gas fields in eastern Russia in partnership with Rosneft, the state-controlled energy company.
The Library of Economics and Liberty.
March 1, 1849 America, New York. Cost-benefit analysis of Bitcoin. Building a bridge is costly, it takes labor and machinery and raw materials that have alternative uses. Does it follow that building it is a waste? No. Waste occurs when the cost incurred exceeds the benefit attained. Marginal Revolution.
March 1, 1407 America, New York, Tuesday. Assorted links. 1. People emotionally tied to robots can undermine relationships with coworkers. 2. Metaculus giving about 75% odds that Putin is still in power a year from now. And Fiona Hill on the mind of Putin.
The Library of Economics and Liberty.
March 1, 1226 America, New York. One book, 3 recipes for student reading groups, the many uses of our economists basically immoral. At private, religious schools like mine, students have to get a certain number of credits for attending chapel or convocation or similar events in order to register and ultimately in order to graduate.